Hello and welcome, ladies, and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing, well, it is October, so it's marking the 50th, the Golden Jubilee, the 50th anniversary of the October War victory of 1973. We're going to be obviously looking at that for a bit, also linking it to youth entrepreneurship, how it was back then, how it is looking now, and we're going to be following up on the foreign diplomacy as well during that time. But before we start doing that, let's check out some of the main stories making the news today. We'll start off with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who received today several phone calls from world leaders discussing developments in the current military escalation in the Gaza Strip. Now, during the calls, President el-Sisi stressed on the importance of taking into account the serious humanitarian consequences of armed confrontations on the lives of civilians, as well as the extension of security and political repercussions for the entire region.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received on Tuesday a phone call from Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Presidential spokesperson said the call discussed the developments in the current escalations in the Gaza Strip. The two sides stressed on the importance of taking into account the serious humanitarian consequences of confrontations on the lives of civilians, as well as the extension of security and political repercussions to the entire region. President el-Sisi stressed Egypt's continued efforts to coordinate regional and international stances and to urge all parties to adopt the path of calm, as well as to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza in order to spare the Palestinian lives further human suffering. Also on Tuesday, President el-Sisi received a phone call from Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. The call tackled developments and the current situation in the Gaza Strip. The two leaders expressed deep concern about the continued escalation of violence there, accompanied with a deterioration of the security and humanitarian conditions in Gaza. President el-Sisi reiterated that the need for international community to come together to ensure the access of services and humanitarian aid provided to the Palestinian people, as well as to push forward towards dealing with the root causes of the escalation by reaching a just, comprehensive and sustainable solution to the Palestinian cause. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi also received a call from the Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulos over developments in Gaza. Both sides reportedly agreed over the danger of the situation with regards to the deteriorating humanitarian situation for civilians. President el-Sisi also received a call from Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni over regional developments and the military operations against the Gaza Strip. The two sides reportedly agreed over the need to coordinate international and regional efforts to prevent expansion of the conflict and complicating the security and humanitarian situation. During the call, the President reviewed efforts by Cairo on the regional and international arenas to urge calm and provide secure and urgent delivery for humanitarian aid to the Gaza residents. He also said Cairo is firmly against collective punishment for resettlement and sieges of the enclave, and is stressing the need to revive the Middle East peace process and give the lead to the voice of reason. Earlier on Monday, the President received a call from U.S. counterpart Joe Biden. Presidential spokesman Ahmed Fahmy said the phone call tackled the outcome of the U.S. Secretary of State's visit to Cairo and the latest regional developments and the recent escalation in Gaza. Fahmy added that President el-Sisi and U.S. President agreed on the importance to contain the current crisis in the Gaza Strip as it threatens regional stability and security. The two leaders also agreed on boosting efforts to protect civilians and deliver humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people.
Also today, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the Secretary General of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, Matthias Cormann. Presidential spokesman Councillor Ahmed Fahmy said that President el-Sisi stressed on the importance Cairo is directing to boosting cooperation with the OECD. He says such cooperation is within the framework of sustainable development schemes with Egypt and according to the Egypt Vision 2030. He said Egypt is keen to provide technical support to the economic reform program on all aspects. For his part, the OECD Secretary General said he valued cooperation with the Egyptian government. He said Egypt's program signed in 2021 is the biggest of its kind in the history of the organization. The meeting discussed means of boosting ties with the organization to achieve comprehensive and sustainable economic development in innovative fields, digital transformation, and fighting corruption. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received today AU Commission Chief Moussa Faki. Presidential spokesman Councillor Ahmed Fahmy said the meeting, which was attended by Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri, is held on the sidelines of the gathering of special envoys to Africa for the support of peace and security on the continent. He said el-Sisi welcomed Faki's participation in the event and expressed willingness to boost joint African action in fields relating to economic integration and regional inclusion, peace and security, institutional reform and the African Union, as well as cooperation with international partners. For his part, Faki said Egypt is a heavyweight in the African continent, adding that he values efforts by Cairo to boost development paths in African countries and contributing to preserving the political and security situation in Africa. He said Cairo has extended full objective and logistical backing to the envoys' meeting, describing it as an important platform to exchange expertise and various experiences to contribute to settling strives and building peace. And the official campaign of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi announced a wide international and regional participation in Cairo's summit for peace that will be held next Saturday, responding to President el-Sisi's invitation. The official campaign stressed that the awaited summit is considered an important opportunity for world leaders to gather and boost dialogue and cooperation with the aim of achieving peace and stability in the region and the world. Pointing to the response of leaders to President el-Sisi's invitation reflects the great confidence in its leadership and Egypt's prominent role in boosting international peace and security. The world leaders and heads of international organizations are due to witness the high-level event and will discuss issues of international community's concern. On top of them is the Palestinian cause. These were some of the stories making the news today, but now turning our attention to tonight's topic. Let's check out this report regarding the October War victory, which played a big role in shaping Egypt's modern history. Let's check it out and we'll be right back.
Egypt marked the Golden Jubilee of the October War victory, a day of pride and dignity which showed the capabilities of the Egyptians and their superiority during the most difficult times. A day in which Egypt turned its wounds and pain into a great drive for work, crossing the invincible barrier between defeat and victory. Values, when summoned, success and excellence are present, precise and accurate scientific planning, bringing upon organized coordination and leveraging of all capabilities and potential, driving the performance to the highest level and disciplined implementation. National fighting spirit overcame the enormous challenge by deep cultural reserve of the Egyptian nation of strength, courage and confidence. Principles and qualities were embodied in the Egyptian persona in vigilant armed forces personnel serving the homeland, the great October generation that transcended adversity and proved once again that Egypt has men in every era who are well aware of the great value and always able to preserve the homeland and its development. 50 years after Egypt celebrated as the giant 1973 war, its memory still shaping the reality and future of Egyptians, especially the youth, who are now the majority of Egyptian people. The youth see the war as an inspiration for current and upcoming generations to develop and enhance their capabilities. Fighting terrorism and extremism was the #1 target for Egypt in the last few years because this phenomenon had undermined the state. But thanks to the Egyptian armed forces, the state has managed to rein in terrorism in a few years and started the path for development and progress. The state has exerted relentless efforts to empower the youth at political, economic and social levels, with the aim of preparing them to lead the country in the future amid huge challenges and crises facing the nation and surrounding countries. Egyptians are determined to preserve every grain of sand in their country, developing its resources and advancing Egypt by building components of comprehensive power, economically, technologically and developmentally, for Egypt to soon reach the status to which its people aspire and that benefits its glorious history.
نرجع أرضنا من كل غاصب. عاش عاش العرب اللي في ليلة أصبحوا ملايين سحاب. عاش عاش اللي قال عاش اللي قال الكلمة بحكمة في الوقت المناسب. عاش 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 اللي حول صبرنا حرب ونضال. عاش اللي قال يا مصرنا ما فيش محال. عاش اللي قال للرجال عدوا القناه. عاش اللي حول صبرنا حرب ونضال. عاش اللي قال يا مصرنا ما فيش محال. عاش ليك ابنك. عاش 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 اللي حبك. عاش 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 ليك ابنك. عاش 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 اللي حبك. عاش 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 رد اعتبارك خلى نهارك. رد اعتبارك خلى نهارك احلى نهار احلى نهار. عاش 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 اللي قال عاش اللي قال الكلمة بحكمة في الوقت المناسب. عاش 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 اللي قال عاش اللي قال لازم نرجع أرضنا من كل غاصب. عاش عاش العرب اللي في ليلة أصبحوا ملايين تحارب.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio by His Excellency Dr. Mongy Badr, the Minister, Plenipotentiary and Board Member of the Egypt-UN Association. Your Excellency, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for you, and good evening for your viewers.
Good evening, sir. Now, Your Excellency, everybody knows many stories about the military victory and the military crossing of the Egyptian side and the Egyptian armed forces, and how it was a major role for the October War victory. But let's try and look at the diplomatic side of it. How did the Egyptian diplomacy or Egypt's foreign affairs change with such a victory? How was it before and after? Did it help also shape a sort of dynamic or a body of relations for our foreign ministry with the international community after that victory?
Indeed, 6th of October victory, it was our day of dignity for Egypt and for Arab countries. The preparation for October victory started from many aspects. Number one, military side. We change most of the leaders. We already have modern weapons. Number three, we have the secret. Yeah, it's what we used to say. What's the password of October victory? It's missile wall and attrition war. This is the password for October victory. Number two, from economic side, we change our economy after 1967 from normal economy to war economy, and most of our production go to our army. Everything to make liberation for Sinai, all thing to insist to have our land back. Most of international followers mention that Egypt needs at least 50 or 60 years to liberate Sinai or to cross Suez Canal. How long? 6 years. And we have the ability to cross Suez Canal and to destroy Badr line with very simple idea, water pump, and to have holes, and our troops already passed to other side. Number three, in fact, it was new ideas, how to use your weapons. It's the soldiers, the feeling of the soldiers. You can have any modern weapons, but your soldiers has no feeling of liberation of his land. So this is the difference is the soldiers of Egyptian army. We stayed the soldiers for 7 years, from 67 to 73. The most important point from my side that we have a good relation between peoples, Egyptian people and the army. Because of what the consist of Egyptian army, it's from every family. So that's why we are pushing them, we are supporting them, and we have a good equation of training, vocational training for our soldiers. New weapons. Number three, the well to cross and destroy Badr line. Number four, to insist about what we desire to achieve. Even after states already joined the war, backing Israel, we used to fight states and Israel for around 60 days until our late President Sadat mentioned, I can fight against Israel, but against the state, no. So we accept to the ceasefire at that time. October, in fact, after that, after October, we have a lot of gains. Number one, we have Sinai. We have oil wells. We open Suez Canal. Our people going back to Suez, Ismailia, and Port Said. We start to attract foreign investment, and also even the activity of fishery coming back.
Yes.
The last one, tourism. We started to attract tourism for relaxation, and Sharm el-Sheikh is one of the best places all over the world. So this is the economic gains from October victory. Also, on the other side, your policies, we are moving from socialist economy to the other side. And we try to push the private sector to play a role like before Revolution of 52. So, 1975, late Sadat, what he mentioned, open door policy. What it means, open door policy, to give the full chance for private sector to invest and to trade. Every sector, all sectors, we open all sectors. But unfortunately, at that time, open door policy concentrate in one side, to one side, just importation from outside. At that time, if you import from outside without custom duties, without any restrictions, it affected your industry. Unfortunately, after open door policy, many factories already shut down because it cannot compete with goods imported from outside. This is number one. After that, public sector goes down until the beginning of 1991. We start the policy of privatization.
Yes.
Privatization as the book, it's excellent. But if you go to reality, it was very bad. They put our factories and with one condition, to develop. Unfortunately, they develop nothing.
Yes. Well, Your Excellency, let me take you back to when you described before the 1973 war victory. It was more of a war economy, and then it turned to become an open door economy. And when it was all about trying to encourage the private sector, it seems that also the youth had a big role to play, which is the sort of mantra that keeps being repeated with every generation, and it is being repeated now, really having the youth, the entrepreneurs, the startups, the private sector, building the economy on the shoulders of private investors and entrepreneurship. Now, what are the similarities and the differences between that sort of depending and building on the youth now as opposed to post-1973?
Very valuable point. It's youth. After 1967, it's youth in our army. They concentrate on one side, war economy. Okay? After the revolution of June 2013, it's also youth.
Yes.
Whom have the desire to keep our values, our culture, not to change it to any side. Number two, they have now the ability to change, and also they are keen to develop Egypt. But the difference that before the October victory, one side, okay, to make liberation to Sinai. But now, during the period since His Excellency President came 2014, he has to challenge to fight terrorism,
Yes.
and in the same time to build new economy, to have new infrastructure, to attract investment, to localization industry, to make reclamation land for agriculture. So Egypt economy change from service economy to productive economy.
Yes.
And productive economy, it depends on industry and agriculture, besides service sector.
Yes.
Type. What we did, industry, we concentrate on industrialization of all materials. His Excellency Mr. President mentioned no export for raw materials. So we start to make industry for raw materials, and the value is going to increase. This number one. Number two, localization. There is a Supreme Councilor for Investment, and now they are pushing private sector, Egyptian private sector and the foreign sectors to invest in all sectors. We open all sectors in front of private sector. Okay, number three, agriculture. You should have many policies to guarantee food security. Without food security, you are going to lose many things, and we don't want to lose anything.
Yes, definitely.
The last point which I would like to mention, that we invest a lot of money in infrastructure. Can you imagine that the cost of infrastructure cost Egypt since 2014 till now 10 billion Egyptian pound. Now, 1 trillion Egyptian pound for Hayat Karima program. This which change the village from consuming village to productive village, and this is the first time, and this program was chosen by United Nations as the most ideal program to be applicable in African countries.
Yes, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Egypt has been pushing for the development and the promotion of the private sector, obviously, and the developmental work and entrepreneurship. Let's check out this report, and we'll be right back.
Egypt has significantly empowered youth on all fronts in society since 2016, and President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi designated 2019 as the Year of the Youth as a key step to empower young people. President el-Sisi directed the formation of the National Youth Conference and National Training Academy to train youth in all fields. Government also formed the Coordinations Committee of parties, youth leaders and politicians, the CPYP, to train youth political cadres, which has played an important role in enabling young people to run for parliament and create a permanent and sustainable national political mechanism. In the economic front, there was an importance of solving market problems and filling other market shortages through youth entrepreneurship. The state was able to deal with the main challenges facing entrepreneurs, including difficulty in securing initial funds to start projects, bureaucratic red tape and shortages in skilled labor. The target was fulfilled through easing procedures for loans directed to small-medium enterprises, exempting these companies from taxes for 5 years, in addition to establishing centers for training and qualifying potential employees. The government has also worked on improving the business and investment environment, underscoring the critical role played by youth in creating a better and more sustainable country. There was an urgency of equipping youth with indispensable green skills in the face of pressing environmental challenges. Empowering the younger generation is essential and pivotal in shaping a greener and more sustainable global landscape. Egypt's National Youth Strategy places paramount emphasis on fostering technological innovation, economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. It is equally committed to principles of environmental sustainability, health, community engagement and effective governance, all of which converge to shape a prosperous and skilled young populace in Egypt.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with His Excellency Dr. Badr. Sir, now you spoke about the challenges, for instance, that the President has been facing since he assumed office, combating terrorism, and also the development work coinciding with the same area, the Sinai Peninsula, which has been the site of and the scene, the battleground for the October War victory. Now, how far do you feel we've accomplished so far since 2014 up until now, when it was practically a war zone, combating terrorism there? It was all over the place, and at the same time now that that's clear, we are working on the development and expanding the infrastructure of the Sinai Peninsula as a whole.
In fact, the challenge was how to link Sinai with the mainland. 6 tunnels under Suez canals. Number 1. Number 2, water for irrigation. Number 3, reclamation of 500,000 hectares. Number 4, localization of industry. Number 5, attracting more tourism to Sinai. Number 6, have a good relation with our people in Sinai. to explain to him what we need from them and what we can offer them. And also try to change their culture to how to be positive with the capital, Cairo. And also how to make the youth understand that they have a very important role to protect our eastern side.
Yes.
After that, in fact, they play a good role in fighting terrorism. And all of us already read and watch their stories. They fight with our Egyptian army in Sinai. And thanks for God that now we are controlling every measure in Sinai.
Yes.
And our troops now close to international border.
Yes.
Okay? This, what I call that we make a liberation for Sinai, it was 2015. Because your army now there, close to international border. Number 6, I think that all regulation and rules for Sinai people make them to have to build trust with capital, and also to make sure that what they need, we agree immediately. Also, it's localization of some industries because they have some minerals in canal. We have a lot of roads and a lot of infrastructures, and we spent a lot of money for infrastructure in Sinai, which make them trust the capital. And now they consider themselves as a part of Egyptian society. And they have some steps and they should do. How to change your behavior from a negative side to positive side. That's what we succeed. That most, I'm not exaggerating if I mention that all of Sinai people now, they have a certain ideas that their relation with capital is more than excellent. Can we consider Sinai now that it could be the main engine of economic development in Egypt? That you can, because of what? Many projects of hydrogen, of green hydrogen now in Sinai. You know that how much we invest in Sinai for producing green hydrogen? More than $8 billion with collaboration with India and United Arab Emirates and some Western companies. Green hydrogen is the fashion or is the future for international energy, for world and for Egypt also. So that's why we, as I mentioned to you, that we are moving from service economy to productive economy, depending on industry and agriculture. It's not a matter of normal or classic industry. Now we are aiming to industry with high value added. Number 2, in the meantime, we have a balance between industries of high value added and industries which contains or which attract a lot of workers, because not all people working in IT or AI. No. So that's why we divide the society between skills, man or skills people, to unskilled. Skilled to go to added value, high added value industry. The normal to go to the normal industries. So that's why we can gain a lot of money, and in the meantime we reduce the rate of unemployment. Now in Egypt it's around 7%, and it's good, and we are aiming to reduce it to 5 or 4%.
Your Excellency, now if we are looking for the development and security, obviously, of the Sinai Peninsula, now it is still an area that is very much under the spotlight nowadays, considering what's been happening on the Palestinian side and obviously our Rafah border crossing. Now, how much of a challenge are the current events constituting for the Sinai Peninsula in order to safeguard our interests and our projects, our infrastructure, our land. It's because it is a matter, obviously, of national security. So how much are the current developments and situation next door affecting the Sinai Peninsula as a whole?
In fact, it's the foreign policy of Egypt. It's a very balanced policy. We don't exaggerate about attacking Israel or defending Gaza Strip. We are very neutral, but we are supporting humanitarian. What we request is just as for food and medicine to our people in Gaza Strip. And in the meantime, we didn't allow any foreigners to cross the Rafah border. No. We coincide both of them, enter food and medicine, and in the same time allowing foreigners to cross our border. This is number one. Number two, Mr. President, he announced for peace conference in Egypt coming Saturday. More than this, Mr. President will fly to Amman tomorrow to have a summit with President of United States, King Abdullah, and also the President of Abbas for Palestine. So all this, what we prove, that Egypt, it's the engine of Middle East. If you would like to have peace, it's Egypt. If you would like to have a ceasefire, it's Egypt. If you would like to control the situation, it's Egypt. So this again give you another dimension of Egypt in Middle East. In the meantime, most of the people now around you, regionally or internationally, understand that Egypt can control most of the problems in the Middle East. And for the benefits of the world and the Middle East, they should listen to Egypt. They should listen to our advice. As I mentioned, we are neutral. And we would like to protect the civilian from Palestine side and from Israeli side.
Yes.
Both of them. What I can say that we should force Israeli side to accept the ceasefire. It's a matter of humanity. Otherwise, now from 1 hour they bomb hospital, and in fact they killed many children and many patients. So maybe I can see you. Maybe West countries and Israel, they succeeded in short term by a rising of Arab Spring and the dismantling of Iraqi army and the Syrian army. But they cannot do it the same with Egypt. Yes, from my side view, they succeeded. But in medium term and the long term, I can say to you that they never succeed again. So they should reconsider again their policies in Middle East. Now the world is changing. West doesn't control. Unfortunately now, there is no international laws which force Israel or America to reach a ceasefire. Unfortunately, because of what? Because now the world order is changing from one side to a multipolar side. Now there is China and there is Russia. But the most important point, many people now mention, it could arise world war, starting from Middle East. I say no. The third world war does not arise from Middle East. No. The third world war, it will be arise from China, south of China, not here. So what we can see, Gerald Ford or something like that, or some navies in Mediterranean Sea, it's a matter of, it's a message to Hezbollah, message to Iran, to Russia, that we are here. The last point which I would like to consider, it's the most important point, that Israel, now, all of us, normal people, viewers, or even the politician now, they have 100% trust that Western is going to support Israel in all cases. So our challenge now, how to try to convince Western people, not leaders, that we have a right situation, and we should push our people, all Arab or Muslims in Europe and America, to try to make some pushing to the people to try to give message to Israel. What they are doing now in Gaza Strip against humanitarian. It doesn't it doesn't make sense that all world now they are just condemn what they are doing. So it's a message we should do. Egypt, in fact, now they are playing a very important role. But in future, can you guarantee that we shall be neutral for a long time? It's a question.
Yes.
And the message at the same time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is definitely a very charged affair that is happening right now, the conflict between the Palestinians and Israelis, and it is definitely affecting the security and stability situation, not just for the Middle East and the region, but definitely the world as a whole. And we will be following the developments regarding the meetings, the summits that will be taking place, and obviously the situation on the ground over there here on Nile International. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my distinguished guest, His Excellency Dr. Mongy Badr, the Minister, Plenipotentiary and Board Member of the Egypt-UN Association. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Always a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you for you and your viewers.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thanks for joining us.